Hello, my name is Joe Brumfield, Senior Director with ASCD. Our team is dedicated to partnering with you to create custom solutions for all of your professional learning needs. On behalf of your friends here at ASCD, I'd like to welcome you to ASCD Webbies. Our Webbies are short clips created by our faculty members to highlight strategies to help educators deliver virtual instruction. Join us every Friday to learn and share some creative ways to deliver instruction with engaging online tools. Our Webbies will be released every Friday on social media accounts as well as ASCD streaming. Follow the hashtag ASCD Faculty Friday to view our latest releases. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Carville, and I teach in the Department of Middle Secondary and Math Education at James Madison University in Harrisonburg, Virginia. My Twitter username is @EMC7X, so please feel free to reach out. I'd love to connect that way. Today's topic is going to be about boosting student interaction virtually. And we're going to look at some synchronous and asynchronous tools to make this happen. Our main objective today is to really explore how we could use Zoom, WebEx, and Flipgrid to boost student interaction and collaboration in both synchronous and asynchronous learning environments. We'll also look at tools like Google Docs and how those can help support some of this synchronous interaction that takes place. There's a Google folder with the handouts for today, so it's these slides as well as a couple other handouts that I'll share in just a few moments. So please feel free to access that. It's tinyurl.com, Webbies ASCD1. I'm going to show that at the end again, just so you have a chance to get that if you did not have a chance to write it down right now. So when we talk about cooperative learning or opportunities for students to collaborate, there's three strategies I thought work really well in the online virtual learning environment. And again, these can be done both synchronously and asynchronously, and we'll look at tools for both. There's two handouts I have for you in the Google folder that I just showed. One is an overview of a jigsaw, and the second is about the debate team carousel. Both of those are good collaborative strategies. I'm not going to go through those specifically, just because there's some resources I left for you to do that, and our time is short today. Peer review, I think, is another great tool used for collaboration in the online learning environment. Again, synchronous or asynchronous. When we talk about synchronous collaboration, what we're really talking about is that students are working live. And so you might do a Zoom session, a WebEx session, a Blackboard Collaborate session, and you might do some instruction and then give students a chance to work with each other in breakout rooms. In these breakout rooms, they can complete assignments, and we can boost this student interaction in an online learning environment. It's really important that if we use collaboration consistently in our face-to-face classrooms, we try to replicate that as best as possible in the online setting. We know that collaboration and cooperative learning boosts student achievement, and so how can we provide some strategies for students to do that when we're not face-to-face with them in the school? I organize my classroom around these sort of home or base groups, and I would suggest maintaining those if you use those as well. And so that might just be their sort of home group, the 4 or 5 students that sit together, they check their homework, they work on a bell ringer together, something along those lines. I would suggest maintaining those because that sort of gives them that sense of community to start the class. And so they're used to that. There's a comfort level there. Now, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't use other types of groupings as we kind of the semester moves on. But that would be where I would start, is sort of these home or base groups and using those to begin with. The nice thing about using breakout rooms, whether again through Zoom, WebEx, or Blackboard Collaborate, Google Hangout unfortunately does not yet have that, or Google Meeting does not have that capability yet. But you can drop in on these breakout rooms. So you can set the breakout rooms up, and I've got some tutorials I'm going to share with you in just a second that do that. They show you how to set these breakout rooms up. But as the host of the meeting, you can actually drop in on the different breakout rooms and listen to the discussions and things that are happening. But another tool where you can sort of monitor the work that's being done in these groups is to use Google Docs. That link there is for what's called a note catcher, which is from an article I just read from ASCD Express from Bondi. And what it essentially does, and I'll show you the Google Doc in just a second, but what essentially it does is it allows students to record their thoughts as they're working in these breakout groups. And as a teacher, you can scroll down and monitor the thinking that's happening, and you can make comments on student work and things along those lines. So let me stop sharing. Let me pull this up. In addition to this, I'm just going to show you how I've used Google Docs a couple times to have students collaborate in this sort of online environment. And so this is the note catcher. And so for this one, this note catcher is organized, and you could organize it however you want, but in this particular one, and the link is here, so you can actually copy and create your own and modify it as necessary, or just use it as a template and then create your own Google Doc. And so what you can do is you can use this to set up different discussion groups. And so this first one's like group 1, discussion 1, and they write their names and choose a recorder. There might be some guiding questions here, and you, as a teacher, you can enter in the questions there. And then the groups would record their notes as they go. Or the recorder that's been selected from the group will record the notes. And so as a teacher, if you've got 6 different breakout groups, or in this instance, 7 that are taking place at once, for that first discussion, you can sort of scroll through and see the ideas that are being shared and things along those lines, which I think is a really powerful tool to be able to monitor student work. Now, the nice thing about this is actually when we return to face-to-face instruction, this same thing works. If you're not able to kind of get to every single group at once, which we know we're not, then you can still use something like a note catcher in face-to-face settings too, if students have technology in class, and have one sort of note person recording, and then you can follow along with what the groups are discussing. I use the Google Docs in online classes for a couple of different tools. This comes from an assignment that I did. So we went online about the same time as everybody else in mid-March. And so it was sort of a scramble to adjust our practices. I had students complete a jigsaw, and a jigsaw is essentially a strategy, again, where everybody selects one particular aspect of a topic, they learn about it more in depth, and then they share their ideas with each other. And so I used a graphic organizer for students to do this, and I posted a graphic organizer on our Canvas site. They copied it and made their own document, and then they met in their breakout rooms. So this was during a synchronous session, and they used the materials that I gave them to investigate what the strategy was. And this is for some differentiated strategies that we were investigating. So think dots, Sternberg's try mine, jigsaw, and then rafts. Those were the 4 strategies that they had to choose from. Each person in the group, and they were in groups of 4 or 5, selected a strategy. They investigated it and read through the materials that were available for them. And then they took some notes. So what is it? How might you differentiate it? And a brief example that you come up with. So students completed this jigsaw in the breakout groups, and they sort of discussed the ideas. And so not only could I drop in on the breakout groups, but I could monitor the work that was being done in the Google Doc as they were working. So they shared their links with me, and I was able to do that. I also have a student teaching seminar class. And so it's essentially during their student teaching, they're completing their action research project, which is sort of like a thesis. And they do a lot of peer review of the different chapters of that action research. And so what I do for this, and this class was taught online before the pandemic even hit. And so we were online all semester. And so what I do is I put them in breakout groups with a partner, and they do peer reviewing. And so you don't necessarily always have to use small groups. Sometimes partner work is just fine. And so they worked with each other. And this is just a graphic organizer that they completed before the peer review. And so the actual paper that they were writing, or the chapter, is here. And this is a section on making instructional decisions. And so what they did was they would write down their strengths and things that they would like specific targeted feedback on. And their peer reviewer would take notes and write those here as well. And so there's kind of pre-work, post-work, and then the peer reviewer can make comments as well. And so I didn't have to necessarily go through and look at the peer reviewer's comments in every single document. But what I could do is look at these organizers and see kind of what the feedback was, what the communication was that was happening. And so again, as students are filling these out, like, you can just follow along with what's happening, which makes it a really powerful tool. So we're going to come back to the browser there in just a second, because there's a couple other tools that I would love to share with you all. And so these are breakout room tutorials. So when you go access the handouts, you'll be able to see these. These just tell you how to set up the breakout rooms. That's not something we necessarily have time for in this little session, but I did want to at least cultivate some links and share these with you all, so that you can sort of learn how to do that process if you've never done it before. It's usually very simple. It's not too in-depth, and these tutorials have sort of instructions, but also videos there to show you how to do it. So most of that we were discussing is synchronous. So when we're live with students, we can put them in breakout rooms and kind of follow along the work, either dropping in on the breakout rooms or through the Google Docs and the processing that's happening there. Asynchronously, I think a great tool we can use is Flipgrid. Flipgrid's a good formative assessment tool generally to monitor student understanding and give them a chance to sort of share their thinking. But the cool thing about Flipgrid is it actually allows students to respond to each other's posts. And so they record a video, they can listen to their classmates' video and actually record a response to that. And so in that way, we're creating the sort of asynchronous student to student interaction, where students are being asked to watch each other and then build off of each other's ideas in that way. And so even though it's not synchronous, it's not live, we might give them a few days to listen to someone else's post and respond. It's sort of a step up beyond just the traditional discussion post, the discussion thread where you read somebody's post and respond. And we're not saying that's not a useful tool, but in this sense, we're sort of keeping that classroom community feel, we're keeping that grouping feel, that cooperative learning feel taking place, because students are having a chance to see each other and record their videos. One particular tool that I love to use for this is the elevator speech. And so after students have maybe I'll record a session for them to watch, or even if it's a synchronous session and we're interacting, this might be their assignment later. It's to do an elevator speech. And that's basically the idea that you've got 5 minutes or 30 seconds in an elevator with some marketing exec and you've got to make your pitch. And so what I'll do is I'll say, okay, I want you to make a pitch for what you just viewed. So the content you just viewed or what we discussed, hit the high notes. What's most important for people to remember? And so I'll give them 30 seconds or maybe a minute. And with Flipgrid, you have an option of recordings going up to, I think, 10 minutes now. And so students can record their elevator speeches and then post those. And so what you could do is have every student post their elevator speech for the topic or the what you were teaching, and then would have to respond to maybe two classmates. And then they would have to respond to two classmates who haven't already been responded to make sure that everybody's trying to watch, everybody's getting a chance to interact with each other in this social setting. And so the elevator speech is a great tool to use with Flipgrid. And so let's just pull up Flipgrid really quickly so you can see this tool and how it can be used. And so with Flipgrid, it's really, really easy to create. It's completely free, and there's a ton of great resources that are available. And so we'll just go to my my JMU Flipgrid, and then I created a sample here. And so if I click on the sample, I can edit this. And upon editing it, you can sort of type in what you want it to be. You can select the length, and so it does go up to 10 minutes, but it can be a lot shorter. You can moderate the videos, and so they're hidden until you approve them to go. And that's something I would encourage you to do, just so students aren't posting things that might be inappropriate. With Flipgrid, you can also record your own video and then send out the Flipgrid so that they watch your video and then respond to it. So that's a great tool as well. You can upload other videos. It works with Kahoot, Nearpod, Newsela, Adobe Spark, lots of digital integration here that's taking place, where you can actually embed some of the things you might be doing otherwise with this as well. And so the nice thing is we get down here to making the topic status being active and the video features. And so this student replies is what you want to make sure is clicked so that students can reply to each other with the Flipgrid. And so again, they would record their elevator speech, and then you would have some structure in place where they need to respond to two other classmates, making sure that they're spreading that around so that not everybody's responding to one or two classmates, and kind of stacking their videos that way. So you do have to put some expectations in place, but it is a really great tool. All right, so one quick thing, and then we will close things out for today. Give it a try. Pick something, whether it's you want to try out Flipgrid, maybe you want to just give breakout rooms a chance and just have a mini discussion, and you're just trying it, so you're not so worried about recording student responses and things like that. But pick one of these tools, give it a shot, start small, go for an early win. That's what we always say. It's if you feel overwhelmed by the entirety of trying all these things, just pick one little thing and use it, and then build from there. And consistently reflect what went well, what might you do differently, and use those ideas as you sort of develop your digital portfolio here and think about this online learning that's taking place. So again, that's my Twitter handle @EMC7X, tinyurl.com, Webbies ASCD1. If you just hit pause on the video, you'll be able to access that. I want to say a big thank you for you guys watching this, and please reach out, contact if I can be of use or share ideas. I would love to just connect with educators out there and hear what's happening in the classroom. So hope everybody takes care, stay safe, and I look forward to catching up soon.